Now, old acetabular fractures, they all usually develop secondary arthritis, and sometimes due to the previous surgeries, you might have implants in situ. Okay, so whether there are fresh fractures or they are old fractures, the basic concept remains the same. You have to restore the anatomy back. You have to bring the center of rotation to its normal. You have to get a good bone stock. You have to get a stable fixation and then do a total hip replacement. So failed osteosynthesis, if there is a plate which has been used to fix the column and screws to fix the wall fragments, you might have loose implants and the hip might be subluxed and there might be persistent mobility at the fracture site. Those things you need to take care in such situations. In a displaced acetabular fracture where no surgery has been done, so the best option you have is to do a total hip replacement. For non-unions and for malunions of the acetabulum, which obviously are leading to secondary arthritis, needs to be taken care of by a total hip replacement. And sometimes complex pelvic acetabular fractures with hip dislocations, maybe center fracture dislocation or a persistent posterior dislocation, you might need to go in for a total hip replacement in such situations. So the basic x-rays are a pelvis with both hips AP view and Jude view of the hips. Okay, the iliac oblique and the obturator oblique views, which give you a very clear idea about the walls of the acetabulum and the columns. CT scans are of much help because they actually let you identify the actual defects in the bones. So where the acetabulum wall is deficient, where the column is broken, whether it's a transverse type of fracture, the CT scans are pretty much helpful in giving you a clear idea about the situation. And of course, you must get a ESR, CRP and a CBC done to rule out infection, especially in those patients who have been previously operated. So once these things are within normal range, then only you can go ahead and do a total hip arthroplasty in such situations. So if you tend to classify according to the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons for acetabular bone deficiencies, you can have type 1 is the segmental deficiencies. You can have superiorly in the periphery, superiorly, anteriorly or posteriorly, or they can be central. The medial wall is absent. Or it can be cavitatory. Cavitatory are contained defects usually. They can be usually the cavities are there in the periphery or the center. Or you can have a combined deficiency, a segmental and a cavitatory deficiency. So there can be a superior segmental deficiency, superior cavitatory deficiency, medial segmental or medial cavitatory like the protusio we have. Type 4 is the pelvic discontinuity, where both the columns, the anterior and posterior columns, are not in continuity with each other. This is a very, very difficult situation to handle, and the basic concept to be followed here is that this discontinuity needs to made into a continuum. We have to fix this discontinuity, make it as one piece, and then only you can go ahead and do a total hip replacement. So all those segmental deficiencies or pelvic discontinuity needs to be fixed prior to going ahead with the total hip replacement. Ankylosis I have already discussed in another chapter, another class of mine, so we will not discuss that. So what are the approaches you can take? You can take the standard posterior or the Moore's approach. Okay. The another thing is the trochanteric osteotomy, where if this is the trochanter here and this is the neck you have here. Okay, so in the trochanteric osteotomy, what you can do is you can just cut the trochanter and just cut it like this. Okay, in a flip osteotomy, you can see the vastus lateralis is attached here. This is the trochanter part, and this is the glutei. So they have just cut the trochanter here and flipped it as a one single piece along with the muscles attached here. So this is a trochanteric flip osteotomy, which can give you a clear exposure of the acetabulum posteriorly, superiorly and anteriorly as well. So you can have multiple approaches, the standard posterior Moore's approach, the Cocker-Langenbeck approach if you need to fix the posterior part of the wall or the column. And you can use the trochanteric osteotomy, as I told you, to cut the trochanter like this. And you can do a trochanteric flip like this, as has been indicated here, or you can use sometimes in very stiff situations where you need to go anteriorly, posteriorly, both columns need to be fixed. You can do a dual approach where you can approach the hip from the posterior aspect as well as from the anterior aspect. So these are the different kind of approaches you need to use sometimes in such cases.